The day the college entrance exam scores were released, the news that I was the state's top humanities scorer with a 723 went to #1 on the trending topics. But the live comments were full of mockery. It's useless for the villain to score that high. No matter if she applies to Harvard or MIT, our girl, the main character, will just use a luck-stealing charm to swap their college choices. She's just a hick from the sticks acting like she's in some rags to riches drama. She has no idea she's just cannon fodder to make our girl shine. Once our girl swaps their applications and steals her true heiress destiny, this side character can make her exit. I love a strong female lead who's focused on her career and not boy crazy. I lowered my eyes, hiding the cuffs of my purple gold ceremonial robe, and silently stuffed the acceptance letter from the Taoist Academy back into my bag. My sister, the imposter, was using dark, twisted magic, sacrificing our entire family's fortune to try and steal my future. She didn't know that I never applied to Harvard or MIT. And she certainly didn't know that when her dark magic collided with an acceptance letter stamped by the founders themselves, she wouldn't be stealing my future. She'd be stealing the last of the Song family's century-old nest egg. 88 ceremonial cannons boomed at the school gate. As confetti rained down, my biological father held a bullhorn up to the TV cameras, shouting, "To celebrate my daughter, the pride of the Song family, becoming the state's top scorer, every member of the media here today will receive an $8,888 bonus." I'm not used to this kind of performative celebration. I curled my toes in embarrassment and was looking for a quiet place to hide. Suddenly my sister, Summer Song, rushed over and hugged me, batting her big, innocent doe eyes as she handed me a small wooden plaque. "Chloe, I got this good luck charm for you from the most sacred temple. It will guarantee you get into your first choice university." I looked down. Black smoke swirled around the plaque, which was engraved with the words, "Academic Success." The smoke crept along my fingertips, slithering like a snake up my sleeve. This was an incredibly sinister luck-stealing spell. Once that black smoke entered my body, it would transfer all of my good fortune to Summer. I nonchalantly snapped my fingers. The wooden plaque instantly broke in two, and the black smoke dissipated, leaving only a sharp, burnt smell in the air. A cheap parlor trick like that? Please. My purple robes mean they're dealing with a master, not an amateur. Summer, I'm the state's top scorer. Getting into my first choice is a given. I don't think I need a good luck charm, do I? With her charm's failure, Summer's smile froze on her face, and tears welled up in her eyes. The comments exploded. Why is this side character so arrogant? She's just a small-town grinder who grew up in the mountains. What's she so proud of? All she can do is memorize books. Don't cry, our girl. This brat just has no manners. She not only refused a gift but broke it. My heart aches for you. This hick doesn't know what's good for her. Don't worry, our girl will swap their applications. Let's see if she's still so smug when she gets shipped off to some second-rate college. The villain's only purpose is to make our girl's perfect life look even better. I had to laugh. No wonder that as soon as I returned to the Song family, Summer was constantly pestering me about which university I was applying to. She was planning to use a transference charm to steal my spot. I only came down from the mountain to take the college entrance exams to deal with an evil entity at the school. Years ago, I was swapped at birth and abandoned in the mountains, where a kind Taoist priest found me and raised me in his monastery. I never resented my difficult past. I devoted myself to the path, earning my purple robes by the age of 16. My masters all said I had a gift, and I planned to spend my whole life at the monastery. As for all this main character side character stuff, I couldn't care less. Harvard and MIT are great, but I believe in fate. When it's time to apply, I'll just lay out all 100+ schools I can apply to on the floor. If I end up at a vocational school, then that's my destiny. Chloe, how can you do that? Summer was instantly flustered, but she quickly composed herself. You're the state's top scorer. You can't be so casual about your application. What will people think of our family? That we're short-sighted and lack ambition. Besides, Mom and Dad care most about our future. You're being so flippant about this, you're really breaking their hearts. Summer lectured me the entire way home, only sighing in relief when I finally said, "Okay, I'll think about it." LMAO, she has such a high score but she's still hesitating. She's destined to be a side character. Our girl, who puts her career before romance, is the true female lead. To the person above, the songs are billionaires. Maybe the villain is just pretending to be obedient to get her hands on the family fortune. A Harvard grad can't make tens of billions a year. A small-town grinder has never seen that kind of money before. You think a poor country girl is going to pass up a chance at the family fortune? Not like our girl, who grew up rich. Can't wait for this gold digger to get exposed and kicked out of the family. Get the family fortune? All the gold and silver in the world couldn't compare to my monastery on Three Saints Mountain. Their gold digger prejudice was their problem, not mine. When we got home, my biological parents were beaming. You're the first top scorer in the Song family. The relatives who came to congratulate us nearly broke down the door. You have no idea how happy your father and I are. Sweetheart, don't keep running off to the mountains. You're about to go to college. Let your sister show you around the city. I gave a non-committal nod. I was 18 when my parents finally took me back, and I'll never forget the look of disgust on their faces. I was dusty and disheveled, wearing a faded white Taoist robe, and clutching a few foxtail weeds. And standing next to them was Summer, dressed in an exquisite pink tutu dress with her hair in a perfect bun, looking like a porcelain doll. The smiles on their faces froze, and with them, any hope I had for familial love vanished. It wasn't until I started getting first place in every exam that they first called me their sweetheart. Before going upstairs, I noticed the cursed money toad in the corner of the room. I remembered my father complaining in the family group chat a few days ago about his recent bad luck. He'd lost hundreds of millions on an investment, and several of his prized antiques had mysteriously developed cracks. I understood immediately. Summer's transference charm was starting to work. Summer must have tattled to my parents about my plan to choose a college with tortoise shells. The next day, my parents hired a professional guidance counselor to come to the house. As the counselor was helping me analyze which major had the best prospects, Summer pushed the door open and asked timidly, "Excuse me, could I also listen in on the counseling session? Right now, I'm focusing on your sister's options, given her high score. Your grades aren't exactly top tier. I can speak with you separately at another time." As soon as the counselor finished, the live comments erupted in ridicule. What does he mean our girl's grades aren't top tier? She was always second in her class. She only bombed the exam on purpose so she could swap applications with the villain. He'll regret this when our girl gets into Harvard. For her to get into Harvard, I'd have to apply to Harvard first. As someone heading to a Taoist academy, I really didn't understand why they were all obsessing over something that would never happen. Were these what they call mindless fanatics? Summer's eyes turned red, and she left the room choking back sobs. That night, my mother came to have a talk with me. I had the college application guide open in front of me. My mother, who had never once made me a late-night snack, brought in a glass of milk. "Chloe, your sister is crying her eyes out. You're the older sister, you should at least go and comfort her. Summer told me she was just concerned about your choice, not trying to compete with you for a spot." With her score, did she even have the nerve to talk about competing with me? To this day, no one knew what Summer's score was. She had always been second in the entire school, but the day the exams ended, she had a huge crying spell, saying she'd done poorly. My parents comforted her, saying that with her strong foundation, she could still get into a good state university even if she'd slipped up. Even so, Summer refused to tell anyone her actual score. But I saw it in the live comments. 372. "I think you should just apply to Harvard's finance program. Our company needs people, and you could even intern during your breaks." Finance. I can't wrap my head around it. It's a win if I can manage the $100 in my own pocket. I'd better not bring ruin to the company. What do you guys think of the excavator program at the vocational school? We still have a dozen acres of unplowed land on the mountain. If I learn to operate an excavator, it'll be perfect for farming when I go back. No. Summer, who had been eavesdropping at the door for who knows how long, burst into the room with a flushed face. "Chloe, that's a trade school. Aren't you embarrassed? Besides, trade school graduates are seen as second-class citizens compared to people from top universities. It's hard to find a good job, the pay is low, and it's all manual labor, like tightening screws in a factory. You should listen to Mom and apply to a finance program at Harvard. You can come home and manage the company after graduation. I watched with amusement as Summer broke into a sweat. My application determined her future. I wondered how she would react when she found out I was applying to a 2-year college. Summer, what's so second class about a trade school? Is there anything shameful about earning a living with your own skills? You're the one who can't get over your own ivory tower mentality. You didn't want me to use tortoise shells to pick a school, and now you don't want me to pick the excavator program I actually like. I don't get it. This is my choice. Why are you so obsessed? Her eyes darted around, and then a smirk appeared on her face as her right hand suddenly shot out and gripped my neck. Chloe, I offered you a good luck charm, and you broke it. I kindly suggested you apply to Harvard, but you insist on going to some trade school. It would be so much better if you just listened. Mom and Dad only brought you home after you became the top scorer to save face for the family. You should be happy just being a decoration. Don't even think about getting a single penny from the Song family. Otherwise, I'll make it so you can't last a single day in this house. You might even pay with your life. Summer's voice was sweet, but every word was laced with menace. I looked up and smiled, then placed my hand over her wrist. With a crack, Summer's wrist fractured. Her screams filled my ears. I curled my lips into a smile, and as she stared in horror, I mimicked her earlier move, gently touching her neck. It would have been so much better if you had just listened. I was willing to treat you like a sister, but now, you're on your own. Even with her arm in a cast for a week, Summer wouldn't give up. This time, she brought him back up. Landon White, the most popular guy in school who used to avoid me like the plague, actually approached me. One minute he was offering me a black card with no spending limit, the next a pigeon egg-sized pink diamond. He was really pulling out all the stops. The Song and White families had an arranged engagement for their children. But back then, the Song family heiress was Summer, so the two of them grew up as childhood sweethearts. After I was brought home, Landon came to meet me as a formality. With a pained look on his face, he pointed at the $5 t-shirt and shorts I was wearing from some discount website, and furiously called me a country bumpkin. He went home and knelt before his father, declaring, I don't care who the real Song heiress is, I will never marry that hick Chloe Song. But now Landon was acting like he was on something, getting down on one knee and presenting a delicate gift box. Chloe, I picked out this sapphire necklace especially for you. I think it would suit you perfectly. I avoided you before because I didn't want to affect your exams, but things are different now. You became the state's top scorer, and my family is thrilled. Why don't we both apply to Harvard? Summer told me you wanted to stay in town, but that would be such a waste of your score. The live comments erupted in cheers. Our girl is so smart, getting the male lead to brainwash the villain. Every woman in this story falls for the male lead's charm. Who remembers the starstruck way the villain looked at him when she first came home? She must be completely smitten by now. The male lead is sacrificing his pride to secure the application. Our girl's spot in Harvard's finance program is in the bag. Landon had clearly put in an effort. His hair was styled in soft curls, and he was wearing a cloying amount of cologne. I glanced at the hair tie on his wrist, Summer's, and forced a touched tone into my voice. Landon, don't people in the city say that if you love someone, you'd do anything for them? Would you be willing to give up Harvard and enroll in the vocational school's excavator program with me? At my words, Landon's handsome face wrinkled slightly. He opened his mouth to speak several times, but in the end only managed to ask weakly, That doesn't seem appropriate, does it? Oh, Landon, I was just kidding. I can't believe we're so in sync. I originally preferred the excavator program, but for our future, I'm willing to make a sacrifice and apply to Harvard's finance program with you. TSK, she's so boy crazy. A few sweet words, and she's already lost her head. LMAO. Of course the country girl has never seen a man before. The male lead is as handsome as Timothée Chalamet, not many women can resist that. I silently pulled out my phone, looked up a picture of Timothée Chalamet, then looked back at Landon's jawline, which was sharp enough to cut someone. I couldn't help but twitch my lips. Timothy was way hotter. After that day, Summer visibly relaxed, probably thinking her spot at Harvard was secure. In contrast, things at the Song Corporation were anything but relaxed. At the dinner table, my father's brow was deeply furrowed. Several deals that were about to close today all fell through. The clients changed their minds at the last minute, saying another company gave them a lower price. Sigh, this whole month has been one thing after another. I think I need to go to the temple and burn some incense. My gaze swept over the cursed money toad in the entryway. The coin in its mouth had a dull, dark color. I pointed to the corner as if I'd just noticed. When did we get this thing? The color looks off. Before my father could explain, Summer jumped in. I brought that back from Thailand. It's a wealth-attracting money toad that's been blessed. I don't know why, but it hasn't been working so well since Chloe came home. Wow, our girl is so quick-witted. What a fast reaction. Our girl had to use the family's fortune as collateral to swap their college choices, and now she's shifting the blame onto the villain. This is a brilliant move. Summer turned to my father, her voice laced with concern. Dad, didn't Master Lee say that places in the mountains can attract negative energy? Chloe lived in the countryside for so long, I'm afraid she might have accidentally brought something back with her. My father sat up straight, as if he'd found the source of the problem. Yes. Summer, contact Master Lee right away. Have him draw up some purification talismans, and burn them into water for Chloe to drink. We need to get rid of this bad luck. He spoke as if he were dealing with some kind of demon. I lowered my eyes, my fingertips gently stroking the restless cinnabar bracelet hidden in my sleeve. I had originally planned to help them, as family, and break Summer's dark spell. But since this is how they want to be, I won't waste my energy. The night before the application system closed, I used a class reunion as an excuse to leave, but not before quietly placing a concealment charm on my computer. As soon as I stepped out of the villa, the bronze mirror in my hand clearly reflected the image of Summer sneaking into my room. She expertly opened my laptop and after confirming that the application field read, Harvard University, Finance, a grin spread across her face. Soon after, the family group chat exploded. Oh my God! So when Summer said she bombed the exam, she meant she got a 723? She could have gotten into Harvard or MIT with that score anyway. She's so humble, getting a 700 plus and still saying she didn't do well. The next day, my parents threw a huge banquet. Summer stood in the center, humbly lowering her head. Actually, I didn't say anything because I was afraid of hurting Chloe's feelings. She suffered so much in the countryside. I just wanted Mom and Dad to give her more attention. The relatives all praised her for being so considerate. I just smiled and didn't join their conversation. Soon, the day the acceptance letters were scheduled to arrive came. My parents cleared their schedules to stay home and open the mail with us. Summer, hurry up and open it. Let Mom and Dad see what a Harvard acceptance letter looks like. But Summer just smiled softly. Let's let Chloe open hers first, shall we? After all, she's the state's top scorer. She deliberately emphasized the words state's top scorer. The live comments went wild. Here it comes. The villain is about to be publicly humiliated. Can't wait to see the look on her face when she gets into a community college while our girl celebrates her Harvard acceptance. I casually picked up my package. They're both from Harvard, right? Why don't we open them together? Summer's voice suddenly rose. You keep stalling, Chloe. Is it because you didn't get accepted at all? My parents' expressions froze. Chloe, your counselor told me you submitted your application. Did you really? I tore open the package without a word. The words Midwest Technical College Excavator Program were printed in bold letters. Summer gasped dramatically, but her eyes couldn't hide her glee. Oh my God! Chloe, how could you lie to Mom and Dad like this? My parents' faces turned ashen. Chloe Song, we went through all this trouble to bring you back from the countryside. We've fed and clothed you for all this time, and you repay us with a trade school? Summer immediately went to pat our father's back. Dad, calm down. Maybe there was a mistake with the application system. You're such a good daughter. My father looked at Summer with relief. Quick, Summer. You're the only pride I have left. Only then did Summer slowly tear open her package. When she saw the name of the school, her face twisted in horror. The Three Saints Taoist Academy Master's Program? What the hell is this? Chloe Song, didn't you only apply to Harvard's finance program? What did you do? Seeing her shriek and lose her composure, I smiled and pulled another acceptance letter out of my bag. As the paper, shimmering with a golden light, was slowly unfurled, a solemn hush fell over the room. The moment I took out the acceptance letter from the Three Saints Taoist Academy, the room felt heavy. Summer's face went deathly pale, as if all the blood had been drained from her body. The money toad in the entryway spat out a mouthful of black blood, and the coin it held clattered to the floor, shattering into pieces. Chloe Song, what tricks did you pull when you submitted your application? I smiled. I prepared this especially for you. It only took a simple concealment charm to trick you into eagerly swapping our applications. I guess you're not as smart as you think. I lightly tapped the cinnabar seal on the acceptance letter. The golden light dimmed slightly, and some color finally returned to Summer's face. This isn't how the plot was supposed to go. Does this mean the villain knew all along that our girl wanted to swap their applications, and just played along to trap her? Wait, are my eyes deceiving me? Is she wearing a purple robe under her jacket? Holy crap. Is this country bumpkin a secret master? A look of shock and suspicion flickered across Summer's face. She lowered her voice. I underestimated you. But you're just a young, inexperienced priestess. Do you really think you can fight me? You won't even know what hit you. I couldn't help but laugh. My master is the only living immortal in the mystic arts. In my dozen-plus years at the Three Saints Monastery, countless people have begged me to grant them a talisman or set up a protective array. Inexperienced was the funniest joke I'd ever heard. My parents finally snapped out of their shock. What is going on with you two? They had already announced to the world that the Song family had produced 2 top scorers. They hadn't missed a single chance to show off in front of their relatives. But now the acceptance letters were here, and neither was for Harvard. How could they face anyone? Tears streamed down Summer's face as she threw herself into our mother's arms. Mom, Dad, you saw it. I don't know what kind of black magic Chloe learned in the countryside, but she changed my application. I worked so hard for so many years. My future is ruined. I might as well just die. She grabbed a fruit knife from the table and aimed it at her own wrist. My parents lunged forward to stop her, and I was so worried about her application. How could she do this to me? What did I ever do to her? The live comments went into a frenzy. Oh, my poor baby, don't cry. My heart is breaking. Our girl's acting skills are top-notch. She can even improvise in a situation like this. She's doing this on purpose to provoke her parents into attacking the villain, right? Playing the sympathy card is a brilliant move. My father, seething with rage, raised his hand to slap me. You monster! Your sister has been so good to you, and this is how you repay her kindness. I casually formed a seal with my fingers. His hand froze in midair, unable to move. His dignity as a father shattered, his face grew even uglier. Summer shrieked, Dad. See, she really does know black magic. My father was both shocked and furious. How dare you use this on your own father? I've been good to you all these years for nothing. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After I returned to the Song family, my father often said he would treat Summer and me equally. On paper, Summer and I each received a $300 monthly allowance, but her account would always quietly receive an extra $30,000. One home, 2 different lives. At school lunch, she would open a bento box with a 3-course meal lovingly prepared by our mother, basking in the envious stares of our classmates. Meanwhile, I would silently swallow the coarse rice provided for low-income students. While her closet overflowed with new season outfits, tags still attached, I was busy sewing a patch over the thinning elbow of my school uniform. As I sewed the second patch, I suddenly remembered my master once telling me my familial ties were shallow. I smiled to myself, chewing on the bitterness in my heart. So this is what shallow familial ties meant. After that day, I completely gave up on the ridiculous hope of finding affection from this family. So I really couldn't understand how this man could so brazenly say he'd been good to me. I released the spell and looked at Summer. The cosmos moves with vigor, the righteous path is not lonely. The earth carries all things with great virtue. Summer song, if you insist on following this wicked path, don't blame me for not warning you when the heavens strike you down and the three corpse spirits come to claim you. Her expression was twisted with rage. Stop acting so high and mighty. Aren't you just jealous that I stole the life that was supposed to be yours? I shook my head and turned to go upstairs. In the middle of the night, the living room suddenly erupted in noise. My mother called me downstairs to talk to Summer. Mom, Dad, Chloe must hate me. After all, you're her real family. For the sake of this family, I'll leave. My mother hugged her tightly. What are you talking about? You're the apple of my eye, the daughter I raised with my own hands. If anyone's leaving, it's that outsider. That's right. You're the only daughter I recognize, my father declared. Leaning on our mother's shoulder, Summer's eyes were filled with tears. But she shot me a defiant smirk. I asked my father calmly, if what she's doing ends up bankrupting the Song family, will you still protect her? The live comments exploded. The villain not only saw through our girl's plan to use black magic to steal her future, but she also figured out the money toad was stealing their fortune? Has the villain been playing dumb this whole time? Oh my God, I'm suddenly starting to like the villain's character. My father answered without hesitation. No matter what Summer does, she will always be my daughter. I let out a soft laugh and told them the whole truth. This money toad isn't a wealth charm at all. It's a sacrificial vessel, using a century of the Song family's fortune to secure a future for one person. You could invite any priest from the Three Saints Monastery, and they would see the problem with this toad. It's only because Summer and Master Lee conspired to put on a show that you've been so thoroughly fooled. Halfway through my explanation, Summer tried to rush over and stop me, but I had placed a binding spell on her and she couldn't move. Thinking of the endless string of failed projects at his company recently, my father's expression changed. Just then Master Lee arrived. Mr. Song, have your eldest daughter drink this bowl of talisman water, and your family's luck is guaranteed to turn around. It's all thanks to the second young miss for seeing the problem and knowing to call me to perform an exorcism. My father suddenly interrupted. The house has been feeling off lately. I'm worried some negative energy might latch onto you, Master. Why don't we invite a priest from the Three Saints Monastery to help with the exorcism? Master Lee's hand trembled, nearly spilling the talisman water. Absolutely not. An outside force will disrupt the toad's energy. At that point, no matter how slow my father was, he had to see Master Lee's guilty panic. His face darkened, a storm brewing in his eyes. Why did you do this? He asked Summer coldly. Her eyes were red, but she suddenly started laughing. Why? Because I'm not your biological daughter. Chloe Song will inherit the family fortune, but what about me? After you two die, will I just be thrown out on the street? Of course I had to secure a good future for myself. Summer's words pierced my parents' hearts like a sword. My mother swayed. When did I ever treat you like an outsider? Since you were little, haven't I always given you the best of everything? Even after Chloe came home, I still favored you, just because I was afraid you'd feel sad and overthink things. Summer's expression faltered for a moment, but she quickly became hysterical again. I don't believe you. You feel guilty toward her now, so you'll only dote on her in the future. If she had gotten into Harvard, what place would I have had in this family? My father's face was grim. He sternly ordered someone to take her back to her room. Meanwhile, Master Lee, seeing things were going south, quietly shuffled toward the door, ready to make a run for it. The moment he stepped outside, a blood-curdling scream erupted. A practitioner of the arts who stoops to using wicked methods to harm others. Aren't you afraid of destroying your path and falling into eternal damnation? A voice as clear as a moonlit night drifted in. Several cultivators in snow-white robes, their aura refined and otherworldly, stepped into the hall as if they were celestial beings descended to earth. Although my parents didn't understand the ways of cultivation, they could tell these were no ordinary priests. My father quickly composed himself and forced a smile, rushing to greet them. And you are honored priests? May I ask your business here? What are you standing around for? Serve our guests some tea. But the group didn't even spare him a glance. walking straight up to me. The senior disciple stood with his hands behind his back. Junior sister, congratulations. You are the only direct disciple to be chosen by the founding masters themselves in a vision in the last 300 years. The second disciple spoke with the same doting tone. Master sent us to bring you back to the mountain. He said you were being mistreated here, and it was breaking his heart. My parents' expressions froze as they looked at me in utter disbelief. As I was about to leave, my father suddenly ran after me, shamelessly asking, "Dearest Chloe, that business with the money toad, can you help us resolve it?" Before I could answer, the third disciple let out a snort. "Resolve it? That'll be difficult. Mr. Song, you have so much faith in dark magic. Why don't you ask Master Li to draw you a few more talismans?" My father's face turned shades of green and white, but in the end he was too ashamed to say another word. Holy crap. I was a die-hard fan of the sister, but now I'm a vertical fan of the villain. This is the real power fantasy protagonist. What kind of reverse logic is this Song family running on? Kicking out the real master and spoiling an ungrateful snake? Ha 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 ha, who gets it? One second they're favoring the adopted daughter, the next they find out their real daughter is a top-tier Taoist master. I wonder how much the Song's faces hurt right now. The discussion in the comments suddenly shifted entirely. I took one last look at this house and walked out without a backward glance. After a month of training back on the mountain, I was scrolling through the news in my spare time and saw nothing but terrible headlines about the Song family. Song Group's funding collapses as shareholders pull out en masse. Mr. Song's real estate assets seized by court, luxury cars and mansions sold off. Former tycoon's family now homeless, rumored to be backlash from bad karma? What goes around comes around. The heavens spare no one. Seeing it from the villain's perspective, this is the real power fantasy. The more glamorous the Song family was, the more miserable they are now. I felt a sense of calm as I scrolled past these tabloid articles. It was just karma. They were only getting what they deserved. Late one night, as I was sitting in meditation, a sinister black energy suddenly coiled around me like a venomous snake. But the moment it touched my purple robes, it made a harsh hissing sound, as if it were being burned. It was the same kind of magic as the good luck charm Summer had given me. She really was stubborn and unrepentant. Last time, she wanted to steal my future. This time, she wanted to steal my very life force and take my place. But did she really think she could afford the price of such dark magic? Oh no. The villain saw through our girl's last-ditch effort too. Neutral party here, but I have to say, our girl just got her butt kicked by the villain. How has she not learned her lesson? I backed the wrong horse. Is it too late to switch to Team Villain? The next day, I told my senior brother that I had some unfinished business and needed to go down the mountain. When I arrived outside the Song family's villa, I was taken aback. The magnificent mansion had already changed hands. Unfamiliar workers were renovating the fountain in the garden. Are you looking for Mr. Song? The security guard's tone was strange. They moved out last month. They're living in a basement over on West Alley now. Sigh, for a billionaire to end up like this. What a tragedy. Following the address, I pushed open a moldy iron door. The damp, musty smell hit me immediately. The paint was peeling from the walls, and the cramped room was cluttered with cheap junk. There was no trace of their former glory. My father was squatting in a corner, fixing a broken chair leg. My mother was using a rusty hot plate to cook a pot of plain noodles and greens. And Summer was curled up on the only tattered sofa, scrolling on her phone, the screen's glow illuminating her haggard face. At the sound, all three looked up. Chloe Song. The chopsticks in my mother's hand clattered to the floor. My father shot up, then awkwardly wrung his hands on his patched trousers. What, has the high and mighty direct disciple of the master come to laugh at us? I don't have time for that. I looked calmly at Summer. The dark magic you've been practicing has already backfired. If you don't stop now, the Song family's century of fortune will be completely severed, and you won't live for more than 3 days. My father's face paled. What dark magic? Summer, didn't you promise Mom and Dad you wouldn't use those things anymore? Shut up. Summer shrieked, grabbing a glass and smashing it against the wall. You have no right to act like the good guy. You're the one who ruined my life. My life is a living hell right now, so why should I stop? Okay, I'm officially done with the sister after this. Classic blame shifting. She brought this all on herself, and she's still blaming the villain? +1 to the person above. If you think about it, the villain is the real victim here. Let me be blunt. Summer tried to use black magic to cheat her way through life from the very beginning, while the villain was the one with real talent and a strong work ethic. What did the sisters' fans even see in her? I gave Summer one last look and turned to leave, but I knew she wouldn't be able to hold back. Sure enough, at midnight, Summer, wrapped in a cheap coat, furtively slipped out of the basement. I followed her, hidden in the moonlight. It was time for this farce to end. In a cold, dark alley, Summer stumbled through an iron door, calling out in a low voice, "Mom!" Chloe Song said this spell will not only steal the Song family's century of fortune, but will also cost me my own life. Is that true? When the face, covered in liver spots, turned around, my breath caught in my throat. It was the Song family's nanny from over a decade ago, Mrs. Zhang. She had swapped her own daughter with me, then abandoned me in the wilderness, disappearing without a trace. I never expected she'd be hiding here, secretly practicing dark arts. And she had led Summer down this crooked path as well. Useless girl. Mrs. Zhang's withered hand slapped Summer hard across the face. I've spent 18 years planning for you, and you're just going to give up. You're going to believe the ramblings of some little brat? Summer cowered, holding her face. But she was wearing purple robes, and the priest from Three Saints Monastery said she was. What kind of power could a young girl have to wear purple robes? She must have put on a fake to look impressive. Her skills are nothing. I could take on 10 of her, and make them all beg for mercy. I smiled faintly, my palm resting on my peachwood sword. Then I deliberately snapped a dry twig under my foot. Here we go. The final showdown I've been waiting for. I don't know. I'm just not interested in the sister anymore. The villain is so cool and charismatic. I'll bet you $5 the villain one-shots Mrs. Zhang. The sound of the snapping twig was deafening in the quiet alley. Who's there? Mrs. Zhang's expression changed drastically when she heard the noise. She looked up and saw me standing nonchalantly at the entrance to the alley. You little brat, you dare to come looking for me? You ruined my plans. You're not leaving here alive today. A sound ripped through the air. I spun around and drew my sword. Golden patterns bloomed on the 1,000-year-old peachwood sword, casting a celestial net. Aya. Mrs. Zhang was easily trapped in my net. With every struggle, the smell of burning flesh filled the air. Watching this, Summer collapsed to the ground and began to retch violently. I tightened the sword seal inch by inch. The celestial net of the mystic arts is specifically designed to subdue those who steal fate. You've harmed countless people. You'd better think about how you're going to explain yourself to the King of Hell. Master, spare me. Mrs. Zhang prostrated herself, finally realizing that this little brat was not as easy to bully as she looked. She forced a sycophantic smile. I know the art of swapping fates and changing destinies. If you let me go, the Song family's fortune, their wealth, their longevity, you can have it all. I didn't give her a chance to finish. I drew my fingers across the blade, and the net's threads instantly tightened. Amid her blood-curdling screams, black smoke billowed and evaporated like boiling water. When the last wisp of smoke had dissipated, all that remained on the ground was a puddle of foul-smelling pus. The moonlight once again filled the alley. Summer was trembling like a leaf, looking at me as if I were a ghost. I sheathed my sword and turned to leave. The next moment, I heard Summer's terrified shriek. 3 years later, the deep toll of the monastery bell echoed through the sea of clouds. I sat under the 1,000-year-old ginkgo tree, talking on the phone with a high school classmate. They're still taking care of Summer. They've tried starting a business several times, but they always mysteriously lose all their money. Now they're just doing odd jobs at the bottom rung. Life is pretty hard for them. She sent me a photo. My parents had set up a street food stall. The back of my father's hand was covered in blisters from frying dough sticks, and my mother was bent over, wiping down a plastic stool. What about Summer? Her? She still thinks she's a genius. Says she's definitely going to get into Harvard and bring glory back to the Song family. But she's been retaking the exam for 3 years, and her best score barely gets her into a 4-year college. The scent of sandalwood wafted from the Hall of the Three Saints. I could hear a young novice chanting, "Fortune and misfortune have no gate, people bring them on themselves." I smiled and brushed a ginkgo leaf from my shoulder. The truth is, Summer was always a smart kid. With her rank as second in the class, if she had just worked hard in the final stretch, getting into Harvard or MIT would have been a sure thing. But she chose the wrong path. She chose a shortcut. The Song family's fortune was gone, and her own fortune, for all her future lives, was gone too. The consequences of good and evil follow you like a shadow. A crane landed at my knees, tugging at my sleeve to hurry me to morning class. My senior brother called out from ahead, saying that our master was in a bad mood today, and we'd be punished if we were late. I smiled, stood up, and brushed off my robes. My path was just beginning. The end.